Welcome to Your Biz, Your Rules, the podcast for business-minded go-getters hosted by me, your favourite brain and biz coach, Daire Paddy. This is the spot for those of you ready to blend heart and head, woo and do, income and impact, change and chill, and so much more. So grab yourself a cuppa and let's get started. Hello, and welcome to episode 237 of Your Biz, Your Rules. Now, it's been a little while since I recorded an episode of the show because I was just taking some time off, to be honest. As we wrapped up the end of the year, I just wanted a moment to sit in the silence and to really think about my vision for the year to come. And that's kind of what I want to talk about today. Not necessarily my vision, but some of the things that I was thinking about during that time, because I think that can be really helpful for people, especially if you're not into the whole new year, new goals thing. And don't get me wrong, there are times when I love setting new year goals, but this year for some reason it just didn't feel quite right. And that doesn't mean that I don't have intentions, goals, desires, whatever you want to call them. It's just that I'm allowing myself to be a little bit more arbitrary with the timing of those goals. So if I decide on some random mid-month Wednesday that I want to start working on a new goal, I'm just going to let myself do that. Why? Because I can. And so can you if that is the way that you want to work too. But anyway, I'm getting distracted. Let's dive into the meat and potatoes. So like I said, I took some time to really sit and think, and also sit and not think. I gave myself 2 solid weeks off work completely, where I didn't even sit down at my desk once. I didn't switch my computer on. I just had 2 weeks completely off. And then I also had a few weeks of just letting myself really think about things and settle into what I want from this year. And there are 3 areas that I dove into specifically that I think also could do with your attention too inside of your business. Because even if you're not going to set big milestones to work towards, I think that there is a benefit to looking at these 3 specific areas at least once a year and just asking yourself, is this working the way I want it to work? Is there something I can change here? Is there something I want to change here? Is there something I want to try here? Etc, etc. So the first of these is all about your delivery. So how are you delivering your products and services? What format are they currently being sold in? So, depending on your business model, you might have a membership, you might have a one-on-one practice, you might have group coaching programs, you might have just pop-up workshops sporadically, you might have a blend of these things and then something extra as well. And taking some time just to really do a little audit of all of the offers that you have available, all of the different formats in which you like to work, can be of great benefit, because you can ask yourself these critical questions of, is this method working for me? Are people interested in learning this information in this way or experiencing this transformation in this way? And it might be that, there are certain products that you're like, do you know what? I don't particularly like talking about it. I get bored of talking about it. People don't seem to be purchasing it with the speed that they once were. And you might choose to retire those things, or you might choose to put them on the back burner for now. And there might be other things where you're like, do you know what? Every time I mention this anywhere, people are snapping it up. And if that's the case, obviously leave it where it is. And then there might be something in between. So there might be something where you're like, this has immense value and I know people get an amazing transformation from it. But for some reason, people are just not jumping in as it currently is. And that is something that I realized when I did this for myself. So if you've been here a while, you'll have heard me talk about Unshakable Business Academy before, which previously was this 12-month group program / mastermind hybrid thing. And it was very big, very intense. And I, opened enrollment a couple of times a year via a big all bells ringing launch. And the last couple of times I launched it, it was just crickets. People loved the launch experience itself. So if I did challenges, if I did masterclasses, people were all over it, and people were, chomping at the bit to get the information. But there was something about the format of the program that people were just not clicking with. And so I gave myself a little bit of time off from it. So I closed out the last round of it in June of last year. And, then I let myself have some time. And while I was then auditing things at the end of last year, the beginning of this year, I realised that I want to bring that back because the content of that program is honestly life-changing. And I say life-changing because it does look at more than just business tactics. Yes, like one of the pillars of practice is all about strategy and developing your own signature strategy, but there is more to it than that. So we have the first pillar, which is unshakable essentials, which is really all about those foundational habits, practices, belief systems, mindset shifts that will set you up to create success on your terms. Then we have lifestyle unleashed, which is all about really curating the life that you want to live and letting that be supported by your business. Then we have personal expansion, which is all about the inner work, the messy stuff, the emotions, the shadow work, all of that fun stuff. Then signature strategy, which I've already mentioned, and then energetic leadership, which is all about stepping things up, really leaning into your intuition, embracing your magic and spirituality, elevating your standards, aligning your energy, and really being a leader in the true sense of the word. And so all of this information together, and I say information, but it's more than just training, it's experiences, it's so much. But all of this stuff is really, really valuable and creates such amazing change. And the client success stories I have from people working through the experience are amazing and humbling. But in the format it was in, people just weren't that interested. So I thought to myself, okay, how can I get this into people's hands again? How can I do that? And the answer that came through for me was to turn it into a membership. So I sat with that for a little while, just thinking about what I would want that to look like, what I would want that to feel like. And then after my 2 weeks off at the start of the year, I was like, okay, I'm ready to go with this. And I did it. I turned Unshakable Business Academy into a rolling membership experience. So the content is largely the same. I mean, I made a few updates and few changes, but the content that people get access to is ultimately the same. And yeah, they're not tied in for 12 months. It's a rolling membership. The investment is much, much lower. I think it's like a third of the monthly payment that it used to be. And people can stay in for as long as they choose. And as well as, all of that content which people get immediate access to, I made some other tweaks too. So there's a monthly business coaching call where everyone gets a hot seat and we can deep dive into whatever they're working on. There's a monthly live embodiment experience where I blend in all of my different modalities I'm certified in. So we might do a breathwork workshop one month, we might do a past life experience another month, we might do hypnotherapy another month, we might do Akashic Records journeys the other month, we might do tapping workshops another month, like whatever it is, there's a really nice blend of magic available. And we also have some fun implementation challenges to really gamify the experience and pick up some momentum. And as I started creating this and building this out, I got more and more excited and I got more and more just ready to put it back out there in the world. So that was my biggest takeaway from doing this for myself. And there are certain products that, when I went through them, I was like, do you know what? It's time for these to go. Like, I no longer have the passion for them. I no longer find myself recommending them. Even if people are asking me for support in those same areas, I just don't find myself recommending them. So it was time for them to go. And time for me to focus more on Unshakable Business Academy, the membership. So it's now up and running, it's now available. I have my first people enrolled in it, and that is really exciting too. I'll pop the link to all of this in the show notes, by the way, if you want to go through and have a look and consider joining us yourself. Like I said, it's a rolling membership, so you can join anytime, leave anytime. It's very low stakes. And I would, of course, love to have you there. So the first thing that I would recommend looking at when you're just sitting with your business is the way that you are delivering your services and whether those are still working for you, for your clients, and for your business as a whole. The second thing that I would encourage you to look at is the way in which you are dazzling your audience. So how are you connecting to your community? How are you sharing your content? How are you building relationships? How are you marketing your services? And we want to be asking similar questions like, is this tactic objectively working? Is it leading to conversions? Is it getting engagement? Am I enjoying it? Do I feel inspired? Does it feel like a slog? These are important questions to ask yourself, because you know what? The method of marketing that works is ultimately the one that you enjoy doing and will continue doing. And it doesn't really matter what it is. If you love being on LinkedIn and just writing a post every day, do that. If you are a TikTok queen and thrive creating 3 or 4 TikToks a day, do that. If you only live for the email marketing and just want to write 1 email a week, again, do that. If you want to blend different platforms together, do that. But let it be the thing that inspires you, that interests you, and allows you to actually connect in a meaningful way with potential customers. Because that is the purpose of marketing. And so for me, that looked like going back to the drawing board a little bit. So as you know, I took a break from my podcast. I also pressed pause on the YouTube videos that I had scheduled because I just wanted to have nothing going out so I could really think about things and reset. I also pressed pause on emails, so I stopped sending out my weekly newsletter. And I took a social media detox too, because I really just wanted to come back to the baseline and think about what I'm interested in, what I enjoy, what really works for me, what allows me to tap into inspiration and really share my message and share my offers in powerful ways. And there were a couple of things that I settled on. So obviously I took a break from the podcast, but it is now back, so you'll be getting an episode once a week from me. I also sat with my YouTube channel, where I typically post video versions of the podcast and also weekly tapping videos. And I thought, okay, is this something I want to bring back? And yes, it is, because I see that as a resource hub that people can use if they don't have the resources to invest at the moment, if they don't have the money to sign up and work with me in any capacity. They have free tapping scripts available to them that will allow them to create big and little shifts in their life and in their business. That feels really good for me to do. It feels really generous for me to do. And so I'm going to do that. Another thing that I realized is that I was really inspired by the idea of running free 3-day masterclasses every now and again. So I did my first one in January and had an absolute blast. It wasn't anywhere near as draining as the 5-day challenges that I used to do as part of a launch. And so I will absolutely be bringing that back. I will absolutely be doing 3-day masterclasses again in the future. If there are any topics that you would love to see, definitely get in touch with me on Instagram and let me know, because I'm nothing if not eager to please. And then I also started thinking about social media. So, my favorite social media platform for the longest time has been Instagram. But towards the end of last year, I was just getting so sick of it. I was getting so bored. I just felt like nothing was working. Everything was a slog. I was so uninspired. But having that time off really allowed me to reset. And now I am back with a vengeance. I'm feeling so passionate about what I have to share again, and I'm feeling so excited to get creative and play with graphics and write different things and film different things. And maybe that break is just what I needed, but above all, it's really reaffirmed the things that I want to do to market my business. It has. And so I would definitely recommend just thinking about this, thinking about what it is that you are doing and pausing for a moment. It's very easy to get stuck in a cycle of going through the motions. So just pause for a moment and ask yourself, is this thing working for me, for my clients, for the business? And then the last area that I would definitely recommend putting some time and attention into is development. So where do you need to develop in order to take your next steps? And this could be, building a team. This could be investing in some new software or a new system or workflow, but it could also be learning. And in my case, that's what it was. So, I don't necessarily need a bigger team. I have my VA Danny, who I absolutely adore and provides all of the support that I need right now. I don't necessarily need any new tools or software because our workflows are on point. We already have automations that work for us, and I don't feel the need for anything additional. But when it comes to developing myself inside of the business, that's a different story. So I sat with myself and I let myself just journal about this. Like asking myself really important questions like, where do I feel lacking? If I was going to have everything that I wanted in my business, how would I need to be different? And using prompts like that just to free write gave me some really important insights. And one of the big topics that came up for me was sales. So obviously, when you run a business, you do sell, you're always selling, otherwise it's not a business. And everything that I know about selling my services, selling my work, is self-taught. So I've taught myself how to sell. And, I've done okay at that, but I'm not necessarily masterful in my opinion. Like I don't make sales every single day of my life. I don't make random sales when I'm not actively promoting things. It's very much I do okay in that area, but I'm probably not at the level that I would love to be if I'm going to be having the kind of business that I want to have. And so I got real with myself and I was like, okay, what do I need to do there? And what came through really clearly was, well, I need to study this more. I need to learn more. But I have standards. I want whatever I'm learning to match my values. That's something that's really important to me. So I started looking into different sales programs and sales trainings that would feel ethical for me. Like that's a big piece of it, that would feel more new paradigmy. So not the old school, like patriarchal, bro marketing kind of sales. I wanted something that would feel organic and casual and informal, because that's very much my vibe. And I was very clear with myself about what I was looking for, and that allowed me to find the right training for me. So I'm about to start that, and I will keep you updated. I'll let you know how it goes. But it allowed me to be discerning. So that is something that I would also encourage you to do. If you notice these areas where you think, you know what, I have gaps to fill here, ask yourself what you need that training to fulfill in terms of values, in terms of vibe, because it's not just about a skill. Because if we're using sales as an example, there are 1,001 different ways to sell, and there are 1,001 different approaches. There are 1,001 different teachers that you could choose. But it is important when you run a business, when it's something like sales, that it aligns with you and who you are and how you want to be showing up in the world. So really allow yourself to be discerning and, look for something that fits your requirements. Don't just be charmed into purchasing something because somebody is running a really jazzy, enticing launch program or launch sequence. So that's the third area. So to recap, the 3 areas that really need your thought as you progress into 2023 is how you are delivering your services, how you are dazzling potential clients and building those relationships, and how you are developing yourself and your business. And all of this can be done between the pages of your journal. You don't have to do anything bigger or more intense than that, but just set yourself an hour aside to really think about these areas. And then, and this is the important part, act accordingly. Take that information you've gathered and change how you are approaching whatever it is you're doing in your business. Okay, I've rambled on a little bit today, so I am going to wrap it up here. It's so nice to be back. It's so nice to be talking to you again. And I promise you, I have some rather exceptional episodes coming up, including some interviews from some seriously smart cookies. So definitely hit subscribe if you haven't already. Feel free to share the show with a friend and encourage them to listen too. And I will be back here, same time, same place, next week. Bye for now. Thank you for listening to Your Biz, Your Rules. I know that we all like to listen to podcasts, watch videos, read articles or books or posts on Facebook and not really do anything with that information. So I want to challenge you right now. I want to challenge you to take something from this episode, anything, and use it to spark action. Use it to activate some kind of change in the way you work and the way you live. Do yourself this service today and tell me all about it on Instagram. Hop over, shoot me a DM or share an Instagram story showcasing what action you are taking thanks to this episode. And of course, do all of the usual things. Subscribe, leave a review, let me know how much you love the show, and I will be back with you next week.